Well, first of all, I am very honored to be here, and I get more nervous speaking to people than being on the first tee. It's really weird. But I want to thank this awesome organization for inviting me to come speak to all you beautiful young Latinas and moms. The reason why I'm here is to share my story, tell you a little bit about what I do and how education really changed my life, not just in general, but in the world of golf. Both of my parents are born and raised in Mexico. I'm a first generation American. They're from Momac, Zacatecas. So they came to the US in the 1970s and basically started out with nothing. They came to this country with goals, with dreams, and for a better life for their kids. And as you saw in the video, my dad is a head mechanic at a golf course. I do not come from a wealthy family. My mom and dad sacrificed time, money, time with their other two kids. I'm the youngest of three, and the fact that they knew nothing about golf. Nothing. My mom didn't know how to dress me. Half the time I looked like a boy. And my dad actually made my own set of golf clubs, and to this day I have my first pair of golf shoes. There's a lot of ups and downs in being in a sport where I didn't see anyone that looked like me. There's a lot of, my mom said there's a lot of chinitas. There are a lot of Caucasian girls playing this sport, so I can almost relate to a lot of you if you feel out of place or you feel like you don't belong in that certain environment. I completely understand what you girls might feel. But if it wasn't for my dad and my mom to remind me of my goals, and they shared their experiences of being in the United States without their family and just being frightened of the next day. So with their love and support, I kept going. And when I got an offer to continue my education from high school to a private prestigious university like USC, I was terrified. I was born and raised in Azusa, so right down the freeway, and my classmates some of them did not have the same goals I did. Not to say that they're bad people, who am I to judge somebody, they were very limited, and I felt like it was my duty to not only represent myself and my family, but to also represent my community in the next level, which was USC. And I give a lot of credit to my mom. She pushed education not only to me but to my brother and sister. She would pick me up from school and she would take me right to the golf course, and then after she would watch me do my homework. It was kind of weird. And she was really the reason why I went to USC. I was so scared to make that decision, but I knew in my heart that I was supposed to be there, that USC was a place for me. And the fact that my mom had to remind me, my mom probably knows me better than anyone else in this world, and if it wasn't for her telling me every day, call Coach Gaston, tell her you're coming every single day, I would have not made that decision by myself. And being 17 years old and not being used to making big, huge decisions, that's all to me a very scary time. But if it wasn't for her and reminding me that education is the way to go, I wouldn't be here today. And even though I went to USC for golf, education was so important because ultimately, if I didn't study, I was gonna play. And if I didn't play, I would be lost. But I had such a hard time my freshman year at USC. I was so scared at one point I didn't know if I could do it. And I would come home crying just because there's such an overload of being a student athlete. But in the long run, it taught me so much about myself and how to balance time, how to ask for help. It's okay to ask for help if you feel lost. College is a time to grow, to mature. It's okay to make mistakes. I made plenty. I won't tell you which ones, but I made plenty of mistakes. And just being in that experience and being the only local on the USC golf team where they had other international superstars, I also felt out of place. But there's a faith in me, and my parents also gave me tons and tons of support, also for my community, that it was okay to feel the way I felt, that it's okay to ask for help, that it's ultimately they wanted to support me in any way they can in order for my dreams to come true. And for me to be a graduate, I graduated in 4 years, which was really my ultimate goal was to graduate. And I actually had an opportunity to leave school after 2 years and turn professional. And I said no. And the reason why is because I promised my family that I was going to graduate in 4. And they were, thank you. And there are tons of people that said, Mexicans don't play golf. And I said, well, why not? I mean, there should be no limitation or no restriction just based off your background. And that's what really kept me going, is my personality is, if someone tells me I can't do something, I'm gonna do whatever I can to prove them wrong. And thank you. And and regardless of the negativity and people having doubts about my ability to graduate from USC and the ability to turn professional, I kind of like that. That way, when I prove them wrong, they feel bad. But now, after graduating and going through all the ups and downs of trying to grow up, now I'm living my dream, which is traveling around the world and whacking that little golf ball around. And the interesting thing is that I'm the only Mexican-American LPGA Tour player in the world. So does that mean I have a lot more pressure? I might, but I embrace it. I love the fact that I can be a role model or a spokesperson to young Latinas who love sports or who are into sports, but I'm a big believer in that no one can take away my degree, even if I stop playing golf. No one will ever take that away from me. And this isn't really about me playing golf. It's how education really gave me the opportunity to play golf and to really cherish it. And because golf isn't forever, and education is something that I can pass down to my nieces and nephews, to my sons and daughters whenever that happens, and to young ladies like you, that the world you have the world in your hands, and you have the support from your moms, from your grandmothers, from any role model that you have, or even your community, that sky's the limit for what you guys can do. And just keep going, and even though someone says you can't do it, just forget about it. And for me, that's what kept me going. And if it wasn't for my mom, who's right there, she hasn't left my side. So I really encourage you to take education seriously and to just keep going and to keep fighting. And you ladies are young and beautiful, and no one can ever take that away from you. And your hunger and your desire and your love for whatever you do, that's what's going to keep you going, and having faith in yourself. So I just tell you to keep doing what you're doing, and the fact that you are here with your moms, that means you guys are winners already. So thank you again for having me here, and si se puede.